As much as I love horror games, I'd be lying if I said I didn't dread playing them from time to time. But apart from the monsters, the haunting environments, and the eerie soundtracks, off-screen narratives and backstory in horror games can be just as terrifying. In this video, we're looking at some of the most disturbing notes found in some well-known indie horror games. These notes will undoubtedly stick in your mind, if they haven't already. The wine cellar in Amnesia, The Dark Descent, is the area in Brennenburg Castle in which the game's protagonist, Daniel, must collect 4 chemicals to create an acid used to weaken the padlock to the cistern entrance. But apart from just being another area in which to collect key items, the wine cellar is littered with blood and gore piles, and it gives some background to what horrors occurred down here between Wilhelm, his men, and the Baron. My name is Wilhelm, House of Garrick. These are my final words, my confession and testament. 2 years ago, I was summoned to the Castle Brennenburg. As most of the aristocracy, I was curious about what this supposed knight of the order could want from me and accepted the invitation. The Baron was friendly and offered me a proposition. It dawned on me that the nature of the contract was sordid and that the reason I was chosen was because of the follies of my past and not the honors I've been rewarded with during my time as a soldier. I was to kidnap healthy humans upon his slightest whim and do so without asking questions. In return, he would attest to my character at the royal court, advancing my position within noble society. I would like to claim that I struggled with my decision, but it came swiftly, and I accepted wholeheartedly. Ever since that day, I've brought men, women, and children to Brennenburg. I can't remember the numbers, but there were many, perhaps even 100, none of whom were ever seen or heard from again. Tonight, the Baron invited me and my men down to the wine cellar to celebrate our work. I had my suspicions as we descended the stairs, but he insisted and joined us in a toast. The wine tasted fine and my men drank without restraint. So begins the punishment for our sins. The Baron has locked us up and returned upstairs. Forgive me for what I have done. I was weak and fell into his diabolic ways. My men are screaming. Their skin has been pierced by their own tangled bones. I feel my insides revolt against their God-given nature. Blood has begun to pour from my eyes, and I can no longer. Two of the most disturbing notes found in Endnight Games, The Forest, are centered around the Cross family, also known as the Red Man. Matthew Cross is the game's primary antagonist, and Jessica Cross's ex-husband. They had a daughter together named Megan Cross. The family lived together in Pringle Township, British Columbia, Canada, until Jessica left Matthew for being an abusive and unstable man, to the point where she had to file a restraining order against him. Unfortunately, that didn't do much, and she was later murdered in a homicide by multiple stab wounds and head trauma. Given his unhinged nature and the conditions in which the report is found, it is implied that Matthew killed Jessica himself in a fit of rage and took custody of Megan by force. You can find the autopsy report deep in Cave 2, next to a bucket of red paint. The note titled "Don't Drink the Water" in the first Outlast game is acquired after recording the Bloody Fountain in Chapter 5, The Courtyard. Because of the low visibility and low lighting, this is often the chapter in which players will use most of their batteries, and with the fountain coming right before entering the 6th chapter in the game, Female Ward, preserving batteries up to this point is important. When you finally get the note, it reads, "So much blood in the water. I can smell it, like putting a penny in your mouth when you were a kid. The whispers are making more sense. I'm looking for static. It's like an itch."
The Cat Lady is an indie horror game released in 2012 by Harvester Games. It follows Susan Ashworth, a deeply isolated woman battling with depression. At her lowest point, Susan tries to escape her overwhelming pain, but instead she finds herself in a strange alternate reality. Here she meets the Queen of Maggots. Susan must hunt down 5 sinister beings known as the Parasites to reclaim any hope of happiness, if such a thing is even possible. In an interview with Alternative Magazine Online, the game's developer tells us that Susan is just a person next door, the kind of neighbour we never pay much attention to because they keep to themselves. We all know people like that. We just assume they like their privacy and have their own set of friends they like to hang out with. But in fact, they have no one. She's very lonely, but she thinks she likes it like this, or even thinks she deserves to be lonely. She made a mistake in her life and now she's paying for it. We see Susan's dark thoughts, all the pain she's bottled up inside seep through during the game's prologue.
My name is Susan Ashworth. I live alone in this old 2-bedroom flat. I rarely go outside. Some would say it's a lonely life, and I guess that's true, but I don't like people's company. Not lately, anyway. I only trust my cats these days, and I will miss them dearly, but they will understand, like they always have. Teacup stays with me till the end. He watches me, as if he knew. Because earlier tonight, I swallowed a whole bunch of pills. They're legal, of course, prescribed by my doctor for my sleeping problems. But I've taken 34 of them, all I could find in the cupboard, and now the room around me spins in a blurry tango as my heart slows down. Any second now, I will be dead. I feel calm. I'm ready for it. I've only got one thing to say now. Thanks for nothing. Goodbye.
In Layers of Fear, you play as a psychologically disturbed painter on his journey to complete his magnum opus. Players can find notes scattered throughout the mansion, each one shedding light on the painter's troubled life and his family issues. These notes help piece together the painter's backstory and reveal the dark events that have led up to this point. One of the more disheartening notes you'll find in the game comes in Chapter 2, in which we see a symptoms list for schizophrenia, with the painter's answers to the symptoms, warning signs. The following list is a compilation of the most common symptoms of schizophrenia. While typically diagnosed between the ages of 15 and 25, the disorder is known to affect older patients as well. Note that these symptoms are not exclusive to schizophrenia and should by no means be treated as a conclusive evidence of this particular affliction. In order to obtain a proper diagnosis, you should contact a qualified specialist, i.e. psychologist, psychiatrist. Blank expression. Stares off into space. Yes. Involuntary facial movement. Yes. Insomnia. Haven't noticed. Unusual gestures or postures. Always had that. Unable to experience joy from activities. Definitely. Depersonalization. What does that even mean? Awkward, clumsy movement. Might be from the accident. Prone to anger, resentment. More passive-aggressive. Lack of motivation. Yes, suicidal tendencies. Imscared is an indie horror game that uses fourth wall breaks as a major driver for the plot and mechanics. The game leaves files in a folder called Imscared on your desktop. One of the files, Layer, and its accompanying folder appear at the same time as todolist.txt and reads, "The curtain falls. I want to share a story with you. I've never had the chance to be a child, but when I was a child I always thought about awful things. One day, my brother went to an appliance store, leaving me in the back seat of the car. I looked at him entering the store, disappearing behind the sliding doors. Then my head drew scenery. Oh no, my brother got impaled by some sort of electrical appliance. There's blood everywhere. What should I do now? The truth is, I never had a brother. As her, to talk was not my thing. I just wanted to entertain you. Maybe I should go back, or change again. You changed me and now I'm not scared. No, I'm worried. Maybe that's why I'm using all these commas I never liked that much. Maybe I'll let you play with me for a short time, instead of the opposite. I have 2 more secrets for you. The credits hold one of them. It will be fun. But please, at the end of this, do not kill me. I really want to be with you forever. Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion is one of my favorite indie horror games, and the game has no shortage of disturbing and heartbreaking notes. During my playthrough, one of the notes that stood out the most was the 5th in the restaurant area. While there are a plethora of other notes to choose from in the base game and across the DLC, what makes this so disturbing is that this is something that you could hypothetically actually see happen in real life. If you did, it would be nothing less than traumatizing. So as I was reading and visualizing this, I felt extremely uneasy. There was a horrible accident today. At least that's what the managers are calling it. One of the other employees brought in some outside food and got into a fight with the manager about it. The employee said that the burgers here smell like sulfur. I then watched the manager grab the kid's neck and shove his head onto the grill. The employee got up and ran out before anyone could do anything, and I'm told that he is fine, but that really shook me today. Thank you so much for checking out these notes with me. I wanted to try something new, so please let me know what you think in the comments below. A big thanks to Eurothug for taking the time to feature on this video. I'm a huge fan, and having her on the channel was a pleasure. Make sure to check out her content, you won't be disappointed. This siren video is my personal favorite. If you're new, feel free to stick around. I'd love to have you, and if you want to further support the channel, consider becoming a member. And that's all for this video, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.